I hope you guys are doing well today. Thank you for being here. Happy FireStride. How's it going, Vishal?
It's going great. How are you?
I'm doing well today. Thanks for asking. I'm celebrating my brother's birthday today in Lake Tahoe. So um yeah, we're gonna have breakfast with my family in a little bit. So I'm looking forward to that.
That is awesome. I'm jealous. Yeah, I still need to grab food myself. I feel so silly. So I was in Discord and I couldn't figure out how to join the FireStride chat, and I feel like such a boomer. Like I feel, for whatever reason, I say Discord just really confuses me.
Yeah, Discord can be really confusing. I remember when I first started doing this community manager role, I remember being super unfamiliar with Discord before, and I feel like the I thought that it was going to be like the craziest learning experience ever. But once you have like the basics figured out, the rest from there, it's actually like I feel like it's my favorite social media platform. I feel like it's the most after you learn where everything is, the most straightforward. I always feel like a boomer because I'm walking around with like my flashlight on my phone. Like my phone is kind of too big. Yeah, I know it's like too big for my hand, and so like I always accidentally press the flashlight button, and then I'm walking around looking like I'm like 75 years old. But don't worry, guys, I'm not.
That's so funny. I feel like I do the same thing. The most embarrassing thing on the subway, and I'll realize as I'm getting off, like, oh my God, my flashlight's been on for like 20 minutes. Um, yeah. And, uh, anyways, I feel like we're too young to be boomers. Ooh, what's up?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I was just saying it's bad when the flashlight's on, and it's bad when I feel like I'm like trying to get a website to work and it just won't load. Like the experience of frustration that I have is like way too much. Like I should be way more chill when the internet's not loading for me, but I feel like did I break the internet? Why is this happening to me? I get boomer levels of confused, but
Yeah. My most boomer moment, my little sister is like 22, so not that much younger than me. Every time I hang out with her and her friends, I feel like the slang and what they do online is so different from what we used to.
totally. It is really crazy the difference between like I feel like, I'm born in 97, so like the difference between like the year I was born and like the couple years surrounding that and then like just 5 years younger is so crazy with like the slang and just like literally like it's almost like a totally different culture of a generation. Um I think about this with my students, how I'm like, I literally, like, you guys are only like 7 or 8 years younger than me, and I just do not know what you're talking about at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100% agree. I just realized people are commenting in the chat too. Yeah, I agree. Yes, right. Twitter and Discord, I think, are the two good best platforms. Telegram is really, I feel like, overwhelming. Discord's much better than Telegram.
Um, I'm just quickly responding. I see Moons is having some technical difficulties, so I'm just letting him know we got some audio going in here already. Um, that's funny. Yeah, we've got like such a world of different ages and types of people in here, so I'm glad that we all get to have one place where we have lots in common, which is this community. So, well, thank you guys for awesome. I'm glad you can hear Moons. Vishal, do you think you're feeling ready to get started?
Yeah, yeah, well, let's do it.
Okay, sweet. Well, welcome you guys to the Thursday Fireside Chat. I know we couldn't meet last week because we were hosting a Twitter space instead, celebrating Stride integrating on Polkadot, which is super cool, and we'll touch on that a little bit today. But just wanted to say hello and thank you for being here. Um, Obviously, we have Vishal with us today, so he's gonna be our person that we get to chat with a little bit about what's been happening in the Stride world in the last week or two, and then anything that we are looking forward to. And then we will save, of course, whatever time we have left at the end for questions. So if you do have questions, feel free to start sharing them in the chat now, and we will take them at the end. Um, but let's get started with thinking a little bit about something time sensitive. So we're thinking about the Cosmos Hub validator application, delegation application, the validator set application form, and the advisory council selection process. We know there's a bunch of dates that are happening around this right now. I believe that the advisory selection the advisory council selection was completed 2 or 3 days ago. Vishal, do you think you can talk to us a little bit about like where we are at in the validator application process? How's the advisory council selection process going? Any reflections that you have on this process so far?
Yeah, absolutely, Summer. Yeah, first off, yeah, great. It was a great summary of the situation. So the deadline to apply is August 14th if you want to apply as a Cosmos Hub validator. In terms of the advisory council, so full transparency, we're actually not like we purposely want to be a little bit kind of removed from the process, and we try not to like we want the whole process of picking the stride um, delegations on host sims to be as neutral as possible. So Robo is the one who's like taking charge on picking the council, but he asked us for some advice and try to find good council members. I think we are actually very close to putting this up on chain. I think Robo told us yesterday that he has everything he needs, so they should go on chain or on the forum either today or they might have already gone up on the forum. But I think it is like 95% done or 100% done. So I think he has all of them. He might be talking to a few people to like double check it or make sure it's double check maybe with a few other people from the hub to make sure everything looks good. But from what I heard is um, that it should be a very well-rounded council, a lot of really great applications from lots of people. So we'll see how it goes. Um, yeah, does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah, I appreciate that overview. And I think, yeah, from the outside it can be I think it's awesome that Stride always has such an emphasis on I think neutrality as a concept can apply to us in this situation and making sure that we have like a level of removal from processes that could result in, potentially extreme bias or compromising of, some like a true equality that we're creating in the system. So I'm glad that you identified that as something, we actively don't really want to be involved in this process. We have trusted individuals who are running this for us, and we can let their leadership guide us. I think that's cool. And I see in the chat that everybody is agreeing that Robo is really good people. We've got a new word, robe people. Yes, we can call Robos people the followers of Robo, aka the robe people. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And then one more quick thing to add on this too, that we didn't do this last time we did the council, but one thing we're hoping to do going forward is also put this up on both the Cosmos Hub and Osmosis governance forums too, so that those kind of delegators on the Cosmos Hub and Osmosis can be comfortable with the delegation mechanism of Stride. I think especially as we get more stake and a higher portion of stake, it's particularly important, I think, that the host zones of the chains feel comfortable with the process that Stride is using. And also
totally.
helps make it a little bit more decentralized and less, controlled by just us. Yeah. Um, cool. Oh
And
yeah, one quick thing. I see Java put a note in the chat about Robo's neutrality. So this is a good point. So I personally think Robo is very neutral, but I totally get why there might be people might have different opinions. I think the way the process is designed also though is to try to make it so any one person has as little influence as possible. So Robo's role in the process is not evaluating the council. Rather, he's like a facilitator. So he has to kind of like follow up with the council members and make sure that they are evaluating the validators, average them, etc. But he doesn't actually have any input, and everyone else should be able to see his work to make sure he's not doing anything funny. But he's more just like shepherding things along, basically. So I would say it's more like an administrator role. Still very important. It's really important to be knowledgeable about the space. But we try to make a process in such a way where no one person has any amount of like undue influence. We're obviously always open to kind of feedback on the process, and our top goal, I think, is to make it as neutral as possible. So we're 100% aligned, I think, on making it as neutral as possible. Should we go to the rest of these Summer and then do the AMA?
yeah, definitely. And thank you, Shabu Shabu, for sending your question. We will get to that as soon as we get through the updates. It's the first on our list, so thank you. But we just have a couple other interesting updates for you guys a couple integration related updates. Would you want to talk us about to us about the LST markets that we now have on Helix? And I know this is last week's news, but since we didn't get to meet last week, maybe we could talk a little bit about ST Atom live on Polkadot. Um, yeah, and then maybe if you can, we're seeing rumors in the internet world of ST SOM potentially coming out. So maybe if there's any information that you could share with us about a potential Somalia integration, I think the people are leaning this direction and want this information if we have it. So let me know, and yeah, feel free to share whatever from there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'll answer this and then also address maybe a few other small iterations that we have kind of coming up or just rolled out. So first with Polkadot, I would say super exciting. So first off, just like real hats off to a bunch of teams that help make this possible. Importantly, like the Polkadot team, really fantastic, the composable finance team, sorry, who kind of work along the Polkadot ecosystem, as well as Notional did a lot of work here and Strangelove as well. So just really amazing work from a lot of different parties on kind of making this is as far as I'm aware, the first true IBC connection outside of the Cosmos ecosystem. Really incredible that we can get this to work. And so as kind of like one of the first things we did with this integration is we put ST Atom on Picasso, which is like a DEX or a chain in the Polkadot ecosystem. It's incentivized. We'll see how people, how it's received in that space. But I think it's really exciting as a way to one kind of show that Cosmos is not limited just the Cosmos space right now. In fact, anywhere you can port IBC over, you can imagine kind of the Cosmos following. And it's also a good use case or demonstration, I think, for Stride to kind of get a sense of how popular Atom is outside of the Cosmos ecosystem. I think in the past, people have tried to move Atom outside of Cosmos, but because the staking yields have been so high, there hasn't been a ton of adoption, I would say, outside of the core Cosmos space. I think part of that is just, I think, in like or traders or token holders in other spaces don't want to miss out on like the 20% inflation that Atom kind of is paying to stakers. But with ST Atom, I think you don't really see this as much, and so our hope is that can get kind of more used throughout. So we saw ST Atom on Arbitrum earlier, and that was relatively successful. I think Polkadot, given the cultural kind of ties that has to the Cosmos space, could be even better and more successful. So we'll fingers crossed it goes well, but hopefully it's just the start of a really big expansion outside the space. And we also saw people not just on Stride, but all throughout the Cosmos space be really interested with this. Zaki's been pushing to bring Cosmos assets to many different ecosystems, and a bunch of people are kind of working on it. Polymer, Composable, a bunch of people. Anyways, I would say it's the start of hopefully a really big push of Strides tokens and Cosmos tokens outside the space. Ultimately, I think Cosmos is super exciting with a lot of great tech. But we're just a small fraction of all the crypto users. The more we're able to kind of expand to other ecosystems, I think we can get truly a lot more users at the end of the day. Yeah, so that's a little bit on Polkadot. And then talk about SOM. Actually, before we get to SOM, because that's what's exciting, maybe we'll take just a few other small kind of integrations that have happened recently and what that kind of means and how that might be exciting for you all as part of this right ecosystem. So one is Helix on Injective is kind of a order book based decentralized exchange. If you guys go onto Helix right now, you'll see that you can actually trade SDINJ. This is pretty exciting. As far as I know, I think this is the first order book based DEX for SDINJ. And when we're talking to the Injective team, I think they have a lot of future apps that are potentially going to launch on the Injective chain that might use SDINJ. So hopefully, this is the start of a really big kind of push to have SDINJ be a deep part of the Injective ecosystem. Injective has been one of the kind of best performing tokens in the Cosmos space the whole year and has had a ton of innovation. And so, really excited to kind of be in the ground floor as their DeFi ecosystem starts to kind of take its way to the next level. That's super exciting. Yeah, and then one more kind of quick integration. Fede from Epmos has been talking about this, so we'll unveil it too. Stride's been basically working on making an outpost type model on different chains, but the exact mechanism of this is a little bit different than other outposts you might be familiar with. But the way you should think about the Stride outpost and what it'll mean for different chains is pretty soon you can you can liquid stake any token that Stride supports and get that token on whatever chain you want, all in one transaction. So as a simple example, let's say you're on Evmos and you want to kind of use your Evmos in Forge, but it's not, you have to liquid stake it in one transaction. To look almost as if you're just natively on the Evmos chain, you'll sign one transaction. Your Evmos will get sent to Stride, will get liquid stake, and then sent right back to you, all just within like 30 seconds. So pretty great UX. We're just in the very last stage of getting this kind of rolled out. We're in like we got it audited. We like kind of responded to audit comments, or went back and forth a little bit. But our hope is that this can go live in the next few weeks. So super exciting. The Evmos is one example, but you imagine even anywhere else could be true too. So another example is like you have your Atom on, let's say Neutron, and you want to go participate in hours on Neutron, let's say. In one transaction, you can send your Atom from Neutron to the hub and to Stride, liquid stake it on Stride, and then get it right back into Neutron or even onto Osmosis, wherever you want it to be, all in just one transaction. I think this really is a big step forward in Cosmos UX. And it's not just from Stride. A bunch of teams are working on getting this to work in the back end. And I think hopefully, we predict the next 6 months that maybe 6 months to a year that all like our hope is that every Cosmos chain will adopt this, and you can do kind of all types of Cosmos DeFi with just one transaction. I think it'll make the UX of using Cosmos much more like using like Solana or a big kind of L1. Because I think right now it's still a little bit confusing to think of like, oh, I have to IBC my tokens from this chain to that chain, deposit to this app, and kind of abstracting everything away to one transaction. I hope will make everything much easier for everyone. So that's another exciting thing that's pretty close to being done. I would say pretty close to being launched. And then the last kind of big announcement is the next ST token that Stride's going to launch. We're aiming to be ST SOM. So timeline on this is a little bit unclear, but I think it's moving pretty fast. So working with the SOM team, and I think this hasn't been shared yet. So this is keep between us. The SOM team is working on basically running through all the standard Stride integration tests, working with them. I think they told us that by end of week this week, you should have that part done. If that's true, then we can kick off the tests on our end and launch this within next week or two. Depends a little bit on if everything goes well in the test, it can be launched quicker. If some things are breaking, it might take us a little bit longer to figure out what tests failed, make sure everything's safe. But I would say everything is pretty much squared away on the BD end and the launch end. And so we should make sure there's no technical blockers, and we should have SDSOM pretty soon. And then after SDSOM, let us know what tokens you guys kind of want as your next SD token. We had a few on mind after SDSOM. ST Axel was one. Then there's ST, I think BLD. I know Say is launching soon. There's a bunch. But let us know what you guys think would be exciting, what ecosystems you think would be useful. Yeah, Kosh should be a good one too. Yeah, so all sorts of great options. So Solom is probably gonna be the immediate next step. But please drop notes on what you guys think would be the next best S token. We can start prioritizing it. I know with the ICS launch, we had a little bit of a break of launching new ST tokens. We were pretty slammed with ICS, but it's now that's over. We have more bandwidth to launch more tokens. I would say two more quick things to kind of hit on just cool new things with Stride. One is the Stride V13 upgrade. We hope is going to land next week. This should not do that much new stuff. It's mainly like a little bit of like technical cleanup post ICS of like small things that we realize could be done a little better. But the one thing that will be exciting is Stride's ST tokens that flowed to Stride stakers haven't been flowing to the hub yet. They've been accumulating. This haven't been being distributed. After this upgrade, Atom stakers should also start receiving like ST Atom, ST Umi, ST Osmo, etc. As staking rewards. So that'll be kind of a nice little marketing win. I think will help kind of show the Atom community what what the potential with Stride can be. And then the only other thing on the Stride end or just the technical end is we've been working pretty hard, so as well, with a lot of other teams on getting the liquid staking module onto the Cosmos Hub. I think that is getting really close to completion. We're kind of in the very final stages of that. So our hope is in the next month or so, Atom stakers will no longer have to unbond to liquid stake their tokens, but rather can just directly liquid stake them. That's super exciting. And fingers crossed this happens soon. But I think that will really expand the addressable market for Stride and make it so a lot more tokens can kind of come online. Anyways, that's kind of all the quick updates from our end. Anything I was missing somewhere?
No, honestly, I think you went through everything on our agenda and more. Thank you so much for that like awesome overview. I feel like you dropped a lot of just exciting insights about where we are with our different integrations and gave people definitely something to feel excited about with the Sommelier integration. It sounds like that's actually going to happen relatively soon, should all things go well. I also just appreciated your kind of explanation of the Stride outpost on Evmos 2.0. For me, I know this was an unfamiliar topic, but it's really cool to know that there's such an emphasis on improving UX in Cosmos right now because I agree with you. I think bouncing between chains and transactions and trying to keep track of where exactly in that process you are can be really daunting. And I think having something that's as you say, like abstracts away some of the more technical elements of how the transaction is actually taking place can be, I think, a really user friendly experience that I personally would enjoy. So thanks for talking to us about that. And it does sound like people are excited to hear about the progress on the liquid staking module. And I'm sure people will ask next week, what's the update? So thank you for this week's update on this. And I think we could probably move into the AMA section of this call. We've got about 5 minutes left, everybody. So if you have questions, now is a great time to ask them. And we can go ahead and just start with the first question that somebody has already shared, Vishal. And I wrote it down in our notes. But somebody's asking, can you talk about how the team/investor unlock investing works and when exactly it's going to start? So how the team investor unlock investing works and when exactly it's going to start. Maybe you have context on this, Vishal. Um,
Absolutely. I would say this info is all public. It should be in the Stride Tokenomics blog post. But just as a quick recap, investor and team tokens start vesting on September 4th of this year and invest linearly for the next 2 years. Most of the token are, yeah. So it's not like there's one big amount that starts unlocking in September, but rather it's like linear over that time. That being said, I think you can also verify this on chain, but most of the tokens, I think like 80%, if I remember correctly, but I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. It's been a little bit since I've checked. Those tokens are staked. And so obviously all the stake tokens won't be, can't be sold. But the unstaked tokens potentially can, although from what we've talked about with investors, I think no one is kind of planning on selling. Everyone's kind of in it for the long haul, interested in kind of seeing it until we hit really big PMF, get much larger. It doesn't seem like anyone's planning on selling, but that is when the unlocks happen. And yeah, it should be pretty easy to verify on chain that these people are actually staked. And then the team, of course, is we can't speak for employees. Like they're obviously free to do what they want, and their tokens are theirs. But I think at least for myself, I think I'm definitely very excited about Stride, and I don't think we're planning on kind of selling these tokens anytime soon. I feel like things are going really well. It'd be kind of foolish to exit now. And to really reiterate, there's no big unlock happening at once. It's rather it's linear over time.
Thank you. And yeah, Shabu says it's in the blog, just wasn't seeing a date, and thank you for the info. So thanks for that, Vishal.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to reiterate, date September 4th of this year when it starts.
Awesome. Um, And we have another good question from Achikog. It says, is there any interest by the team to have a kind of osmosis outpost? So to be able to swap ST asset rewards to Stride or another ST token without having to deal with IBCing to osmosis or wherever and swapping there.
Yes, this is a great question. We are definitely interested in this, and I think now that we have a little bit more technical bandwidth, or we should soon, hopefully, after the LSM kind of push, I would say this is like pretty important. I think this has probably been the most requested feature. I know it's a real hassle to have to like sell all your SC tokens one by one. So working on this pretty hard. I think there's going to be, if I had to guess, is going to get rolled out in like two batches, or like there's two iterations of this. The first iteration will be something kind of simple, so it'll be like kind of an easier way to IBC your tokens to osmosis and sell there, but with, relatively few clicks. So ideally with just like one, maybe two clicks, to be able to move your tokens to osmosis and kind of liquidate them. It might be a little bit more, but it'll kind of walk you through the steps and it won't require it to be as as painful as right now. But then the V2 they're working on is like an auction module that should make it so this will just be like one click basically to convert all of your SC tokens to Stride or USDC or whatever the token that you want is. So that the second version might take us a little bit longer, but the first version I think we can have relatively soon. So basically, to sort of recap, after the LSM push, this is like our next priority.
Uh, I don't know the last time I heard somebody say based to me, but it sounds like people think this is some pretty based information. Um, Yeah, that's really funny. And thank you, Vishal, for that explanation. It's cool that it makes me excited to hear that you are saying that you feel like the team has like a little bit of extra technical bandwidth right now. I was just kind of perusing Twitter today and reading some comments to posts that we've made, and I kept seeing like this recurring response from the community, and like people are like all these other projects are, just like fooling around. We don't know what's going on with them, but Stride builds. And I was like, yeah, Stride builds. And so I'm glad that you guys are in like building mode now. Staying away from Twitter for a day. I think that sounds like a very healthy choice for your mental health, Moons. For whatever reason, I always support staying away from social media if you need to for a little bit. We got to take a break from the internet world sometimes, and then you can go back in with fresh eyes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, I say that as a community manager where I'm like, except me, I don't ever take a break from social media. Um, Cosmos drama, never a boring day. But all right. Well, guys, I think we've just hit our 9:30 time. Well, it's 9:30 where I am. It could be any time in the world where you are. But I feel pretty good about where we are with our questions. So if you have any last minute questions, you can share them and we can respond to those through conversation or discussion in the general chat. But for now, I think we will be signing off. Do you have anything left that you wanted to say before we hang up, Vishal?
No, just thank you all so much for being here. It's really amazing to see all these great questions, and so happy to hear that everyone is so interested about Stride. If you guys have any more questions, just yeah, but please drop in the chat, and we'll try to get to them soon. But I really appreciate you all being here, and hope you're all having an amazing week.
Awesome. Thanks, Vishal.
August is actually my favorite month of the year. Yeah, I feel like August is the best weather and end of summer. So I hope you're all having an amazing August.
Yes, it's a great month. Yeah. Take care and take care everybody else too. I'll see you guys soon and hopefully next week. I love that heart. Okay. Bye.
Cool, love it. Bye, everyone.